Welcome. This is a short video to go over the new features in the DAT aid. When I game master, I tend to offload a lot of the functions of the players to myself since I can quickly do them on the website. As the website designer, this is really easy for me. But another GM might have problems doing this. So I've created a way for players to be a little bit more interactive with DAT and the website, thus offloading some of this extra work off the GM to the players. So we've set up a sample DAT here with 3 players and 3 opponents. We're going to also have a screen, which is this screen here, that is Clarice Jackson. Clarice will be the player that will be playing this game. They're waiting for their base action phase, so we switch to phase 7, which is the base action phase for Clarice. Now I, as a game master, am prompted to input a action for Clarice, and I have all these little buttons that allow me to do all the actions. And I have Ranger Bob's actions, and of course Steve Morgan has a base action phase of 6, so he's not ready to go yet. Then I have to do all of the actions for the NPCs. This is a lot of work for the game master. So let's switch over and see what Clarice sees. So she has a DAT information screen that she can look at, so let's go there. On the DAT information screen it says that it's phase 7 and she's open. Ranger Bob, who this is not logged in as Ranger Bob, just says he's open. Ranger Bob would also see a screen similar to this, except he'd have select action on his screen. We can select the action and it tells us that our character, Clarice Jackson, has a fire axe in one hand and a fire axe in the other hand. Now, as a player, I know that I don't have 2 weapons, and holding 2 weapons is a little bit silly, but when I was testing this before, I was messing around and gave her 2 weapons. But let's go ahead and go into her character, get rid of one of these weapons so that she has the correct weapons. Okay, now go back to DAT information, select action. Now she has a fire axe in one hand and a compound bow and an AA-12 slung. At this point, she can't shoot her weapon. She wants to shoot her weapon, she has to pull this down and do exchange weapon to pull out a weapon. But if she's ready to do a hand-to-hand attack, then she can pick a hand-to-hand attack. And when she selects that attack and saves that, it returns her to the screen, tells her she's going to attack, and she'll be attacking at phase 6 and open on phase 5. Ranger Bob hasn't picked what he's doing yet, so the game master says, "Bob, what are you doing?" Bob says, "I'm going to fire 3. So the game master hits fire 3. Once that's done, you'll notice that Clarice is indicated as attack, and Ranger Bob is indicated as fire weapon. I didn't have to do anything for Clarice because she did it herself. So let's say we go through that. It's phase 6, phase 5. We switch back over to this screen, and now phase 5, she's open again, and she's ready to select her actions. So she's going to exchange weapon because she's decided that the crossbow might, or the AA-12, let's say. So she's going to go to exchange weapon. And then she is going to go into her inventory and she's going to put that fire axe on her belt and she's going to pull out that AA-12. Now obviously it would take longer than that, but for the character's point of view, the player, they can go ahead and just do that now. Okay, she's exchanged weapons. She goes back to the DAT information screen and she's exchanging weapons. The game master, from his point of view, sees her exchanging weapons. And he says, "You'll have the new weapon out at 4 and you'll be open at 3. Now, he hasn't had to do anything except sit here and talk to Ranger Bob, who hasn't selected his stuff yet. And Ranger Bob's a little slow, I guess. So phase 3 comes along. Clarice is open again. Clarice sees she's open. She has 1 action left, so she's going to fire a weapon. She has a shotgun, which is an automatic shotgun. She doesn't have any rounds in her shotgun, but we'll just ignore that for now. Just assume that because I'm doing this as a test, she didn't bother putting rounds in there. She's going to go fire 3. Now, obviously, she could select fire 4, but then the game master... Actually, let's select fire 4. Auto-loading shotgun can fire 3 shots, not 4. So picking 4 rounds is not a really good idea. Okay, she says fire 4. The game master looks at that and says, "Clarice, you can't fire 4. Your shotgun's autoloader." So he hits this. He goes over here, changes fire 4 to fire 3, saves it. On Clarice's screen, she switches to fire 3, And on the Game Master screen, he now has Fire 3. And notice because she put the gun in her hand, she has the AA-12 now in her hand. Now, she doesn't have burst capabilities because she doesn't have auto weapon, so it indicates that on my screen. Ranger Bob still hasn't picked what he's doing, so he goes to Fire 3. Game Master says, Ranger Bob, you're doing Fire 3. And that's reflected on the screen for Clarice. She gets to see what Ranger Bob is doing. Steve Morgan is open as well. He's going to serve in command. Okay, this all works out really well because the Game Master is offloading a lot of function to the players. And the player can basically stay on this screen, or they can go to their inventory screen and make inventory changes if they need to, or look at their inventory. And then they can go back to the DAT information screen. When it's time for her to fire her weapon, she has to have a BCS set. So she doesn't have a BCS set. This is something that she needs to do. So she goes over, she goes back to the home screen. There's actually a button for that. And over here it says Gun BCS Calculator. She's going to pull that up. She's going to say she's Clarice, and she's going to be using the A12, and she's going to shoot at Jay Wesley. So she starts her calculation. And then it's a newly acquired target. She knows that, and we do all the other settings. She's at point blank range or short range. She's firing one round. The target's not moving. Now the target not moving, that came from the DAT information. So she hits calculate. Calculate says she has a BCS of 3. So she has a BCS of 3. She's -2 and she's +1. So that is her shot. Now that will be reflected on the GM screen here, and he can see that she's shooting at Jay Wesley. She's using a shotgun. She's got combat dodge ability 1, newly acquired target, firing one round this phase, and she's at short range. And actually the Game Master can modify that if he needs to by clicking on it. And he can look at this and say, well, you're not at short, you're at point blank range, or you're at 30 meters, so you're at range. He can recalculate that for her and get a new range. So, and then of course, if he goes back to his DAT screen, then that new number will be on his DAT screen. It's very interactive. The Game Master can do a lot, but we expect the players to do some too. Okay, that's the new feature, and that's how it works. Let me know if you have any questions.